So of course, the Bulls, after two horrendous games against the Hornets and the Blazers with terrible efforts on both ends of the floor, and not even just those two losses, losing 5 straight games, 4 of those being at home. But of course, after all of that, they beat a very hot LA Clippers team in LA in the second night of a back-to-back. This team is just funny, man. Now granted, the Clippers were shorthanded. They were without Kawhi Leonard, who isn't playing in back-to-backs right now. They also didn't have Ivica Zubac, who is actually a pretty big loss for the Clippers, as they've already are a small team as it is. And without Zubac, that really opens up a lot of opportunities for a guy like Vucevic, even though Vucevic actually didn't really have that great of a game, despite going up against a smaller lineup and not so great of a big in Mo Bamba, who's been a journeyman since he's been drafted in the league. So yes, the Clippers were shorthanded, but the Bulls were also without 2 of their key backup players in Coby White and Dosunmu. Hopefully those guys are back in the lineup come Thursday when I go see them play in San Francisco against the Warriors. But anyway, I mean, even despite the Clippers being without Kawhi and Zubac, I fully expected the Bulls to lose tonight just because this is a good Clippers team that is tenacious defensively, and I expected the Bulls to come out lethargic in this game after getting in late last night in LA, and also just looking lethargic because that's the way they've been playing the past few games. But the biggest difference in this game compared to what we saw last night was the Bulls' defense. Not saying their defense was perfect, especially in the fourth quarter when you saw a lot of mental lapses on that end of the floor that allowed the Clippers to get some easy buckets and hang around in this game, almost to the point where you thought they might actually come back and finish off the Bulls to make it an elite tanking level loss for the Bulls had it happened to blow an 18-point lead like that in the fourth quarter. But aside from some stretches in the fourth, their defense was much more on point. The guys were more locked in and hustling on that side of the ball, fighting through screens, staying on their man, reading cuts, getting in passing lanes. I mean, they held the Clippers to 16 points in the third quarter. That's no easy feat. And this was after they already held them to an impressive 18 points in the first quarter. Now, it helped that the Clippers just didn't shoot the ball well overall. 39% from the field, they shot a putrid 9 for 42 from behind the arc, but give the Bulls credit in that they were able to heavily contest a lot of those shots and not allow the Clippers to get that many good looks, especially from 3. The Bulls didn't shoot the ball that well themselves, 40% from the field, 32% from deep, going 15 for 46, but one of the things the Bulls did better at in this game, which we haven't seen a lot this season, is actually getting to the free throw line, getting there 26 times and shooting it at an 80% clip. And then the other big factor in this game that we didn't see a lot of last night, the Bulls dominated the glass, particularly on the offensive boards to give them second chance points. 17 offensive rebounds in total in this game, out-rebounding the Clippers 54-40. And there wasn't any player or a couple players in particular that dominated the boards for the Bulls. They were rebounding by committee. Everybody was fighting for the rebound, getting after those 50-50 balls. Like, Giddey was the only guy in double figures in rebounds tonight. Jalen Smith had 7 boards. Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips, even in their limited minutes, both had 6 rebounds. Hey, even Patrick Williams had 5 boards. Just good all-around effort to avoid the Clippers from getting second chance opportunities. And then, of course, the other big difference in tonight's game versus last night, the Bulls got Lonzo Ball back in the lineup, and he even got the start in tonight's game with no Coby White. And even though Lonzo didn't have the best game offensively, he shot 2 for 9, 1 for 8 from 3, it was once again his defensive tenacity, the IQ, and playing off-ball defense to get the Bulls some crucial stops when they needed it most, and moving the ball well in transition when the Clippers were really trying to dictate the pace of this game. Team that plays a much slower style of basketball than the Bulls like to play. The Bulls started to fall apart a bit in the fourth quarter, like I mentioned, but then Billy Donovan brought Lonzo Ball back in to close it out, and the Bulls never looked back from there. I will say, going with Talen Horton-Tucker to finish out this game definitely would not have been my preference. He did have a great game, by the way, and actually hit some big shots in the fourth when the Bulls needed it. But it just goes back to what I've been talking about before throughout the season. You know, I'm not as focused or obsessed with the Bulls keeping their pick like a lot of Bulls fans are. Ideally, they would keep it, but it's not my sole focus. I'm more focused on the development of some of these younger guys and getting them some tangible experiences that they can work with. Closing out a game like tonight is a great learning experience for them. And while I know THT is technically still a quote-unquote young player, I think he's only 23 or 24, he's probably not a player the Bulls are going to be keeping around long-term. So yes, I would have preferred to see Modest Buzelis or even Julian Phillips in that closing lineup over THT. Hell, even Patrick Williams. Not sure why you wouldn't play him, especially to take advantage of the size mismatches down low. But anyway, THT was fine. He did finish the game with 18 points and stepped up when the Bulls were without 2 of their guards. I talked about how disappointed I was with some of the performances from some of the young guys in last night's game, particularly Josh Giddey, who had 0 points against the Blazers and took 2 shots in that whole game. Tonight, he stepped up big time for the Bulls, being shorthanded, played 40 minutes, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, just shy of a triple-double, and a plus 17 when he was on the court. Giddey was much more aggressive, he was attacking the paint, he was finding cutters going to the basket, didn't miss a single shot inside. His finishing was on point, just much better effort, much better game from Josh Giddey. And then, of course, Zach Lavine, who was just a rock star tonight. After having a couple games off against the Hornets and the Blazers, he was on one in the third quarter to really give the Bulls a significant lead, and the Bulls never fell behind from that point forward. 35 points for Zach Lavine, 11 for 21, 5 for 12 from 3. He had some insanely difficult threes that he hit too. Got to the foul line the most we've seen him do pretty much all season, 10 free throws in this one, just 1 turnover, and a team high plus 20 in this game. It's going to be interesting to see how these next couple weeks shake out leading up to the trade deadline. Hopefully this win doesn't change AK's mind to say, see, I told you this team could do something. They can beat any team in this league if they put their minds to it, and then just ends up staying pat at the deadline. I really, really hope that doesn't happen. I will say, I do want to see the Bulls win on Thursday, though, against the Warriors, given I'll be at that game. And I also just can't stand the Warriors and their fans, having lived in the Bay Area for the past 13 years. Anyway, though, the Bulls win. They're off until Thursday. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.